Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another week of A World of BCD. Grab your neuralizers, put on your sunglasses, because we're about to dive into the great world of information security.
These are no longer the kids in the garage that are hacking for fun. These are actual organizations,
Wow.
crime organizations that have data centers. They have people to punch in a clock, get paid hourly. They have salaried employees that are paid to do this day by day to wreak havoc on the various industries.
I'm Chika Eloy, and this is a conversation designed for BCD people with BCD people. On this show, we're running through the diverse cultures of talent at BCD Travel, and we're showcasing our most confident self-colleagues. So come on, let's go have some fun as we explore the different functions, spaces, faces, and the complexities across our world of BCD.
Welcome, Mr. Daryl Tidwell. Welcome to the show, Daryl.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
And when you say here, I know that today you're sitting in Kansas City. Where do you usually sit?
Usually I reside in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am Director of Technical Security under the Information Security Organization, which is led by Sharon Burgess, VP and Chief Information Security Officer at BCD Travel.
So are you like the Secret Service of BCD? Is this what I'm hearing now? Chief of Security. Security of what, Daryl?
Good. Excellent question. My organization, Technical Security, we primarily a small knit organization, whereas we focus on the security of architecture. We focus on security of applications, incident response, and management. And the key thing, the secret team that you mentioned is the ethical hacking team, whereas we ethical hack legally our environment to ensure that we point out all major security gaps and vulnerabilities, and we see things from a hacker's point of view.
Wow, so we seriously are stepping into the Men in Black world, right? Where you just said that you've got people on your team that try and hurt us so that you know where the gaps are and where we could potentially be penetrated from an informational standpoint.
That is correct. But of course, it's all done in very scaled where it doesn't bring any systems down, but we do identify those viewership from a malicious actor point of view.
So when it comes to the security of information, Daryl, why would we as a company really care? Maybe you can break that down to the person that has no idea about your world, kind of has to take these mandatory online knowledge hub courses about security. Why truly does it matter for us as a company?
That's another great question. And what I'm going to do is break down information security as a whole, so it can give you context into how important my role is to support the other functions within information security. We have a governance and audit function, which primarily focus on our industry standard certifications such as PCI and ISO. Those are very important to retain our customers. A lot of our customers want us to have that security certification to either win their business and maintain and keep their business as well. Another part of that within information security is our Global Security Operations Center. This team focuses primarily on supporting our security technologies. They make sure that those technologies are running. They monitor the alerts, etc., and ensure that they respond quickly to any type of anomalous or any type of malicious activity. And we have our client communication and risk team, which focus on communicating to those customers, those clients, to answer the RFP questions that come in. I think year to date, we have about 22,000 customers questions that come in from our customers. They perform their risk assessments for any type of new connections to our environment. Then you focus into my team, which is the Technical Security Organization, which we support each one of those functions. Most importantly, we still, if there's any mergers and acquisitions, we review the design and architecture of the acquisition to make sure that it doesn't bring any type of security vulnerabilities within our environment. We also assess applications, the internet-facing applications, ensuring that those applications doesn't pose any risk to expose our customers' data. And also, we perform the incident response, meaning is there any type of major breach? My team goes into action to ensure that we compartmentalize that breach and we remediate that.
Wow. I always thought, oh, we just don't want hackers coming in and stealing our information. But you're saying that this has to do with clients. This has to do with it's a much bigger scope than the general man on the street or woman on the street may think when it comes to information security.
Absolutely. And it's critical because we get assessed yearly multiple times, and we have in some customer contracts where they have the right to come and audit our organization. Not just security, but audit BCD to demonstrate that we're adhering to the terms of our contracts and agreements, which security is a major part of that.
Without giving any trade secrets away, Daryl, in your experience in this world of security, do you have any scary stories in your line of work that you would be willing to share?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, he says. Let me roll up my sleeves real quick.
Well, hacking in itself is scary. And for example, typically every year, my team or myself, we attend security conferences. And each time that we attend a conference, there's something new, a new hacking strategy or technique that demonstrates that it can be undetectable based on the security tools that most of our vendors have. That in itself is scary, meaning that we have no way of knowing that if our environment has been compromised. So that in itself, of course, keeps me up at night because the vendors and also the business, it takes time to keep abreast or keep ahead or stay in pace with the ever-changing techniques that are being developed day by day. And one of the major things that I've learned is that these are no longer the kids in the garage that are hacking for fun. These are actual organizations, crime organizations that have data centers, that have people to punch in a clock, get paid hourly, that have salaried employees that are paid to do this day by day to wreak havoc on the various industries.
That's not scary. And when you tie that to what we read in the news with all the governmental kind of hacking, in air quotes there, that's not scary at all to hear that there's organizations that are paid to do this out there. It'd keep me up at night as well. So,
Exactly.
So as the individual contributor, that sits at home on his own Wi-Fi network, do I have anything to be worried about when it comes to security? I mean, are they going to come for me at home for BCD stuff?
Keep in mind that right now there's a lot of traction on social media. To give an example, LinkedIn. So they may see, hey, there's Daryl Tidwell, Director of Technical Security at BCD Travel. Let me see if I can find out where he resides or see what information that I can get from his work laptop or his personal laptop. So as being an employee of a company such as BCD Travel we have a lot of major customers, high profile customers, and we keep their itineraries, we keep their passport information, their credit card information. So of course, as being a BCD employee, I want to be extra vigilant in ensuring that my assets are protected and BCD Travel assets are protected. So a recommendation for that is talk to your service provider, say, hey, how can I have the most secure connection for my Wi-Fi? An example of that is if you only have 3 devices and you only need those 3 devices connected to your Wi-Fi, obtain a MAC address of those devices and only allow your Wi-Fi to connect directly to those 3 devices. That's an example of ensuring that your assets at your home are secure. Continuously change your password just like you do at your work. Always change your password. Don't use the same password over and over again in different flavors. Take those minor things that can be major in the end, because all it takes is a person to identify your username and password, and they gain entry into your system. And from there, they can embed software to continuously monitor your activity.
Wow. Yeah, it's a scary world now that and I love that you bring up LinkedIn, because with a number of our talent programs now, we're actually encouraging the brand, because like you would say, an individual contributor out there that throws up a really nice brand of themselves represents BCD very well. But then with that comes the caveat of saying, but be careful too, because the more information you push out there, the more that's available for anyone to get a hold of and therefore used against you, if they choose to.
Absolutely.
I actually say that about my growing teenage daughter. Don't put anything out there you don't want an ex-boyfriend to come back and use against you.
I do that for my teens as well.
So, Daryl, we're talking about monitoring our brands, how we can do it at home, how we can do it at the office. We talked about passwords. Is there anything else that a regular employee like myself at BCD Travel can best support you?
One of the best things to support is of course, always remain aware of any type of malicious type activity. And one thing that really comes to mind is the phishing of emails. And what that is when an imposter says that, hey, I'm Daryl Tidwell, I need to reset your password. Can you click on this link? So what is that doing is allowing that perpetrator to install malicious software on their system. So the biggest thing for us is to, if you see those type of phishing emails, or if it doesn't seem right, or it's out of your internal process within your team or your organization, raise the red flag. Be very mindful and cautious of that.
And how do I do that?
Today we have within Exchange, we have a button at the top that says phishing email or spam email.
So we can do that directly in Exchange then. We don't need to email anyone specific or anything like that.
Right, that is correct. And keep in mind, there's two types. There's one type that has, let's say, a malicious link or wants you to go to a website. And there's one type that is strictly social engineering, which imposters have the capability of impersonating a legitimate person. Let's say, for instance, if they find Daryl Tidwell on LinkedIn. I hate to pick on LinkedIn right now, but that's what comes to mind.
I hate that you're picking on Daryl Tidwell, but same.
I know, right? So if they impersonate me and send you an email and saying, hey, this is Daryl Tidwell, and everything looks legitimate, pick up the phone and call that person. Say, hey, did you send me this email?
Nice.
And 9 times out of 10, that person will say, no, I never sent that to you. Then, of course, route that to our security team, whereas we can further investigate and analyze that activity. Because what's happening is that a lot of social engineering phishing type emails are trying to gain a financial dividend in the end.
It's interesting you bring that up, because I did interview our CFO, our global CFO, Case, recently, and he said that that's one of the biggest nightmares he's thinking of nowadays too, which is somebody coming to us with false invoicing and asking us to wire money immediately on behalf of Case or John, our CEO, in that direction. So I think that lines up very well there, Daryl.
It's a major concern. So we have to continue to be vigilant and mindful of what we click on and what we react to. If it's not the typical process, go through the proper channels and make sure that information is validated before you execute or perform that request or fulfill that request.
So, Daryl, in talking security, you are a global team, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So you have your fingers, your gloves, your security teams moving all around the world, looking and reading and educating yourself. When it comes to staying ahead of the game in your world, how do you find you're doing that as a team? And, again, as BCD moves forward, how are we going to stay ahead of this curve with so much targeted, potential attacks positioned against us?
That is another excellent question. And the answer to that question is very challenging, but that's something that we have to do. And what I'm going to do is take a step back to provide additional context to my answer before I properly respond. BCD Travel, we're moving in such a very great pace in executing on the Amazon cloud services, big data. We move into serverless environments that is allowing us to quickly deploy applications to our customers, make ease of use of have data readily available for our customers to use at their fingertips. we're moving at much of a very mobile pace. In that introduce vastly new threats. And there are very limited technologies, security technologies that can properly assess those environments. So what we're doing from the technical security side is we're working hand in hand with those developers and those teams that are delivering those agile products and ensuring that we get security baked in on the front end versus the back end. And in conjunction, in parallel to that, we're also attending those various workshops, those various conferences. We take training very seriously. All of my staff is certified within security, and that's mandatory training that I require each year. So we're having to do all those things in parallel, which is a very daunting task. However, I am very proud and excited that my team is not up to the challenge, but they have exceeded the challenge in the way that they're working with the various teams to ensure that those products are delivered securely.
Outstanding, Daryl. Well, like we do on every podcast episode, with your permission, I would like to ask you 5 random questions where you just do your best to rapidly answer them as quick as possible. Are you ready?
All right, I'm ready.
All right, Mr. Daryl. Winter, summer, autumn/fall, or spring, which is your favorite season of the year?
Autumn.
He loves the fall. Question number 2, 4 movies: Matrix, Star Wars, Men in Black, The Notebook. Which is your favorite?
Matrix.
He loves The Matrix. Speaking of which, how many screens, question number 3, how many screens, Daryl, do you typically operate of?
4.
And how many do you have today?
I'm struggling. I have 1.
Speak about an emotional insecurity you've got going on right now. That's fantastic. Question number 4. What is your favorite type of martial art, Daryl?
Mixed, because you get a chance to use your ground strategy as well as striking.
Wow. And then after the bell goes, you can jump out of the octagon and go crazy, right? Because that's what.
That's right.
Very cool. So the final question, the same question we end every podcast episode with. Daryl, what is your favorite part about working at BCD?
The culture of my fellow BCD employees. I love the culture of our senior leadership, and I love being a part of the BCD Travel family.
Daryl, it has been a pleasure having you represent the security team today. We appreciate all of your insights.
Cheers. Thank you.
And to all of our listeners, if you have people in your team that ever complain about changing their password month over month over month, you hopefully now have a bigger reason as to why we do that. And thank you, the listener, for being here. This is a really cool experiment that we're trialing out. We are running a tremendous amount of programs around the world, and one of the biggest values we're hearing from the participants of these talent programs is that the network that they're growing and the perceptions and the different cultures and the different parts and functions of the business are just adding net worth to their network. And so the genesis of this show has started from the idea that we can continue to spread and hear and listen to different people across the different borders about their business of BCD. So send this to all your friends, spread the word, because we're going to hopefully increase your net worth by increasing your network across the world of BCD travel.